Las distracciones y narrativas reinan este mundo tecnológico. Todos tienen una opinión de lo que es la verdad y lo que es mentira. ¿Quién controla el mundo? ¿Los aliens son real? ¿Vivimos en un Matrix? Estas preguntas serán debatidas con José y Daniel G, explorando y descubriendo las verdades de nuestro mundo, nuestras creencias y nuestro reality. Welcome to Cultura Truth Project. Dímelo, mi gente, ¿qué es la que hay? Welcome to another episode. Sábado por la mañana, Saturday morning. Y'all see it probably right Sunday morning.
We're eating right now.
Yes, sir. Welcome to another Cultura Truth Project. Jose G, Daniel G. Dímelo, bro. Happy Saturday, bro.
Happy Saturday morning or Sunday or Monday, however, whenever you listen to this or watch this. Good morning, everybody. I'm still drinking my second cup of Bustelo. We're about to get in. We're getting weird first thing in the morning today. It's going to be great.
I love it.
I think I like this. I've become a morning person the older that I get. So like the morning, you're going to get the most creative thoughts out of me. So God knows what's going to come out of my mouth.
I think I think we might just kind of like spin off like a morning show and call it like Cafecito Conspiracy or something like that.
Cover morning news, see what Fox is trying to indoctrinate us with it every morning.
Yeah, right. Well, guys, as always, make sure you give us a follow on all of our social media on YouTube and on Rumble at Cultura Truth Project. Make sure you follow us on Gonzalez Media TV on Facebook and on Instagram. And also subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. And guys, support the show by joining the Supporters Club on Spreaker. It's only $3 a month. We have the link in the description. It's audio only. You can't get anywhere. You can't get it on YouTube. You can't get it on Rumble. Only on Spreaker, on Supporters only. So make sure you join us over there. $3 a month. Link in that description, and smash that like button and share the show today, guys. We really appreciate it. More of you that share the show and push it out, the algorithm recognizes it and recommends it to everybody. So make sure you guys show the support by just simply smashing that like button. Appreciate
Here's
you
my
guys.
thing, and this is before we get into the show. We're so close to 500, guys. Like literally, if every single one of you that listens, right? If you just share it with a friend, send it to the DMs. If you find an episode that you've liked in the past or whatever, be like, yo, check these guys out. That'll be the biggest form of support you can show us. More than Supporters Club, more than anything. If you just take 2 seconds and just share it with somebody you love and have them subscribe, man, we would appreciate it, because we're getting close and we're getting to the point where, man, you know, they're trying to suppress us now before we get too big. So let's circumvent the system.
I don't know. I don't know if that's what's happening. I don't know if that's what's happening for sure, but there's something in the air. There's some energy. I don't know. There's a lot of obstacles to try to get to that 500. So I don't know, but we appreciate you guys. If you guys can help us out, show us the support simply by just smashing the like button and sharing it out and subscribing to the podcast. So we really appreciate you. So Danny, in the words of our WWE undisputed world heavyweight champion, what do you want to talk about?
Man, there's a lot.
By the way, today's Saturday, Bash at Berlin's today. You going to be watching that?
I'll probably watch the rerun after either tomorrow after jiu-jitsu or something. Thing is, with this wedding stuff, like we have so much planned. Like, what is it? We were supposed to record Wednesday. Something came up. Things happened. And then we tried to get it for Thursday, but it was like we were meeting with our wedding coordinator lady, whatever, and like planning out what we want to do, how we want to do it. And it's become just a chore. And don't get me wrong, I love the woman I'm about to marry, but like Jose can attest to this because he's been a married man for a while now. When they plan events, they take out all of their stress on us.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh my god, the placemats, and I'm like, the placemats? What are you talking about? They're not the right color. It's just the little things.
Yeah, man. This is why, like, in my second marriage, like, I decided not to go all out on the wedding because I knew, like, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on the venue and all that stuff. So we like DIY'd the shit out of it. We did it ourselves, bro. We
No,
found
we're
like a
doing it
little,
ourselves.
yeah.
We're doing it
So
ourselves.
but even though even you're still doing it yourselves, there's still a lot of shit to plan around, bro. Like, you know, the little details, either like drinks and food and like the color scheme, right? The patterns. I'm like, I know you guys didn't come here to listen about like wedding planning shit, but this is the truth about wedding planning, right? It's like it's stressful. Nobody really wants to do it, but at the end of the day, it's got to be done.
All right, so let's start. So there's a couple of things I sent you yesterday, and we can do. We can start with one of these weird ones. What do you think this black anomaly thing is? Let's pull that one up.
Which black anomaly? The
anomaly
one, is that the one you sent me on Facebook or?
Yeah, there's like several that I sent you all the creepy ones on Facebook, but like let's start with that. Like, what is?
Well, I know there's like a black goo situation happening right now. And I think that has something to do tied with AI. But let me go. Let me look at it. Hold on, because I know you sent me a few.
It's gonna be like the very first one in that thread. So it's like this weird thing that it first popped up like middle of last year. And then I guess it popped up again this year. And it's like this thing off the southern Atlantic Ocean down by Antarctica that like it just pops up. It's like this weird black blob.
Hold on. And you said you sent it to me on
Facebook.
Let's see.
But that's a good one to start with. And this creator, I don't know him by heart, but he has some pretty good stuff. He does a lot of these like TikTok style like reaction stuff, and I don't think he gives opinions. I think he's just like, this is creepy. This is another creepy thing. I love guys that do that.
Dude, this is so weird. It's like on my desktop, the recent messages that you sent me are not appearing, but then on my phone they are.
Interesting.
That is so effing weird. What
do you think is going on? Do you think it's just... Hold on, let me see if I can log into my Facebook on here. Maybe I can do it.
That is so weird because I'm getting all the ones that you sent me over here. So weird, bro. Because I saw the one of the Bruja.
Oh, that one's creepy too.
Yeah, I saw the other one, Moon Henry. But are we going that back?
No, it's like literally, I think it's from Wednesday. It's not that far back. Okay, sorry. It's logging in. Give it a second. And you pick me up on silent. Ooh, no, it's not letting me log into my Instagram and Facebook. Oh, this is creepy.
That is wild. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I think you savior.
All right, so that's there.
That is me. Okay, so now it's saying password you entered is incorrect. Okay.
Where are the recent ones? What the hell, yo? Okay, hold on. There's something here. No. Security. Okay, no. On my desktop version, they're not coming up. But on my phone, they are. But that's all right. That's all right. Well, while we find some of this stuff, there's something. Huh?
You know, all these guys have cross-platforming, so I'm gonna look them up on YouTube. So keep talking. Go for it.
No worries, bro. But some of the stuff that's been coming up lately, especially as we're getting closer to November and the election, there's a lot of stuff coming out about Donald Trump. But, bro, did you know that there's this whole thing around Donald Trump that he might be a time traveler?
You know, you've told me this like right before we started the show, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, man. So apparently, let me look up his uncle. So his uncle, Donald Trump's uncle, he used to work with Jack Parsons. He was like a pretty well-known scientist. His name was John G. Trump. He was his paternal uncle, and he was an electrical engineer, inventor, and physicist who developed rotational radiation therapy together with Robert van de Graaff, who was one of the first people that created the million volt X-ray generator. So this guy was like super, super duper smart. So there's this whole thing around him because John Trump apparently created some technology that would allow him and his family to time travel. And there's this whole thing that Barron Trump is a time traveler and that Donald Trump is a time traveler. And dude, it's wild. I don't know. Let me see if there's anything on here. Hold on, go time traveler. But yeah, but it gets pretty wild. And there's this video that is
it like
from Ruslan,
from
Ruslan KD right here that kind of dives into this, and there's a connection to Jesus on it. So I wanted to cover this really quick and get your reaction and see how we can connect this.
It's like, well, this story about the flood isn't so therefore the Bible is wrong because it copied this story, or the Bible isn't the true source of it. It's not the primary source because it copied these stories. But you had a very interesting point that you shared with me. I want you to, could you unpack that a little bit in terms of where, and you're going to reveal some of this in your upcoming book, but break that down for me a little bit.
Yeah. So the primary advocate of that sort of philosophy was a gentleman by the name of Joseph Campbell. If you listen to Jordan Peterson, you'll hear rumblings of Joseph Campbell. I don't think he ever mentions Joseph Campbell, but Joseph Campbell is the guy that attacked Christianity because he says that he looks at all these myths. He studied all these myths, and he says that Christianity looks like it's a reflection of some of those things. Like we took pieces of that and created Christianity. The mistake he makes, and mistake some of these other atheists make, is they invent their own definition for God. Like classically, the definition of God is the maximal being possible. It's not a complicated thing. It's the maximal being possible, who definitionally must sit outside of time. Now, Campbell is looking at this, and he's looking at the 50,000-year-old bear cults in Japan. He's looking at all the, he's looking at the work of the Iliad and the Iphigenian sacrificial system there that happened. He's looking at all these things that happened before Christianity. He's seen elements of this in Christianity. And then he's looking at what happens after Christianity. We start some churches, we get a pope, we get all this cute stuff. And he's saying, well, yeah, you guys are copying what works. Two points. The first is the minor point that the greatest lies contain
damn ads.
Anyway, but I've seen this video, and he's about to say something that is, I think, universally true. And it's the greatest lies have a hint of truth, right? Like he's about to say that.
Always.
Right. And it's, and like, he makes a great point here, that I don't know if I 100% agree with, but it's one of those things where it feels true. You know how, like, you don't know something for sure, but like, because you can't prove it. Like, I'm not a musician, right? Like, I play a little bit of drums, but I wouldn't consider myself a musician. I don't play chords. I don't play piano. I don't do none of that. I don't have a degree in music theory, but I don't want to spoil it because he goes into something really good about like the triad and like what makes children cry and stuff like this, regarding like the echoes of time through Jesus Christ and like the things that happen. Go ahead and play the rest of that, man. It's so good.
That is just a reflection of what happened before, and that you see that its appearances afterwards in churches and mosques and like whatever else might be the derivative of that in the timeline. But what he misses is that it would be necessary for a God that strikes down into nature, that strikes down into time like lightning, for that to be a ripple both forward and backwards in time, so that the manifestation of ultimate truth would necessarily have to happen one time in history, which would be the cross of Christ, in my opinion. And from there, everything backward looked into it, and it shifted all the time, not only forward, but also backwards.
Interesting.
Order of Melchizedek.
That's interesting. So it's like, it's happening all at the same time. That's quantum.
That is quantum. It's quantum entanglement, 100%.
It's definitely some quantum entanglement happening within the Bible, which is wild, bro.
It explains the order of Melchizedek. It explains, Ezekiel seeing and talking to Jesus. It explains the moment on the mound. It explains everything. If his, I guess, interpretation of the event of the Bible and how the cross and the moment of the cross of redeeming humankind happens, right? And that's the ripple throughout time, not just forwards but backwards. Like, is that the, like, to take a line out of Marvel, right? Is that the canon event?
I there's a lot of. I would have to say yes, man. I would have to say yes. It has to be, right? Because
Right, like,
it's
that's
not
the
a
canon
coincidence
event, right?
that all
That's
these
the-
things. It's not a coincidence that all these things are happening. Yes, in different timelines, but then you have the same person that's kind of like representative in each timeline.
So
Right?
it kind of goes back to our episode about the order of Melchizedek and Jesus being a time traveler. I don't like I have weirdly, like, the more I studied into this perspective, like Ruslan has covered this great, couple of different pastors online has covered this great. I even talked to my own spiritual leader. He was like, look, it's not just that he's omnipresent. It's like, you have to understand. And I think this guy says it perfectly. It's like, that's the canon event that rippled throughout time. It's the reason. He is the reason, not just the reason for the season. I hate to say it to sound that Christian, but it's like, bro, like, of course it makes sense. Like, this is why you're gonna see God in everything, because of the moment at the cross. Play the rest of that.
So are you saying that the deposit of truth on this side of eternity, Jesus, almost impacted history, like what came before him? Or are you saying that God in his providence, because I've always thought of it as like God in his providence can reveal whatever he wants to whoever he wants, whenever he wants, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not that Christianity copied the Greeks in some of the moral aspects. It's that they were able to have this knowledge, the logos, without knowing it's Jesus, because of common grace, right?
Yes.
But it sounds like you're saying something more than that.
Yes. So I'm saying, like, let's look at Plato, for instance, 400 years before Christ, something like that. You're reading Plato's Republic, I believe it's chapter 5. There's this curious little chat about imagining the most disgusting, the most evil man, the most unjust man, and it's corollary, which is the best possible man, the most just man. And he says that the most evil man would have to look as pure as possible, but he would be as religious as possible, but underneath he would be as evil as potentially imaginable, but he would be able to use that as a cover. He would use his perceived goodness as a cover up.
And we see that a lot, right? We see that so much right now, especially within mainstream, either be in politics or
100%.
in a lot of the Protestant churches and the big mega churches, right?
The mega church is the big thing, yeah.
The mega churches, we see that in the big prosperity gospel type of church, thing.
Dude,
we see a lot of that in here where they're very dressed well, they speak a certain way, but behind closed doors,
they've become the
what
Pharisees.
are they doing?
They've become the Pharisees, right? Like in Christian terms, to those who might believe, right? The mega church and like a lot of these guys that you see even on YouTube and preaching, don't get me wrong, they've become the Pharisees. They're the ones who judge the least of us, right? And it's one of those things where it's like he says, it's like, hey, they have this pristine look, but yet, like, you can name the Todd Whites, the Stephen Furticks, all these guys from these big mega churches, they've all faltered. Bethel, Hillsong, whatever, right? Like, all these leaders look beautiful, but they can only maintain it for so long before the ugliness and the evil comes out, and that's what he's talking about,
But the worst man, I bet the best man possible, if he looked like he was the best man possible, he would get credence. He would get lauded with things that would boost his ego, so he could not be the best man possible from that. No, he would have to look like an evil man. In fact, he would have to be condemned for being blasphemous. He would have to be condemned so much that you would have to be destroyed with floggings and whippings. He would have to be stripped bare to see what kind of man he was, to be inspected. And if you take the language that's used not only in Psalms but also in Isaiah, and you take that, which is also obviously reflected in the crucifixion stories of Christ, you see almost a verbatim usage,
same language, same words,
the manifestation of Plato's prophecy about what the best possible perfect man would look like, realized in the natural person of.
And we're talking thousands of years before Christ was even a thought, right? So Plato was able to kind of figure out, okay, well, this is what the perfect man looks like. He prophesied about it thousands of years ago, and Plato has nothing to do with the with Christianity, but he was able to see it and foretell it thousands and thousands of years ago. How is that even possible?
Because of the canon event, quantum entanglement, the canon event, right? Like the moment at the cross was so impactful for human time. I don't even want to say human history, human time, right? That it has to reverberate, right? Like it has to reverberate. And like when you notice when you throw like a rock into like a pond or a pool, the outermost bands don't resemble the strength of the ones close to the event. They kind of dissipate, right? So if the further back you go, right, in the time of history or whatever, you're gonna see these little things. Because even in like when you think about it, and when you think about like doctrine wise and how Christianity and, you know, Abrahamic religions deal with the principalities and all these, you know, otherworldly things, like they have to acknowledge the one true God. So even if, let's say, and I'm not saying that I know this for a fact, but I'm just going off of what if, even if Plato was to be possessed and have these, you know, and I want to use the word evil as in ungodly. I don't want to use evil as in like just plain evil, bad, right? Like just things that are not of God, right? Because Plato was a Stoic, for my understanding, right? If he has revelation of what the perfect man is back then, and so did all these other Greek scholars and great minds of the time, like they had an idea of what the perfect man looked like, right? Like in at least, you know, on paper. That's the ripple. That's the ripple, man. It's like the universal truth, right? Like the universal truth is like, it's not so much of how you treat, it's not so much how you treat yourself as how you treat other people. Is like the morality of Christianity. The reason that even atheists believe in the morality of Christianity is because it's a universal truth. It's God's ripples across every race and culture. Like it's insane. There's another part he talks about, like the triad. It's really good. It's really good.
Of Christ. Now, the interesting thing about that, you look at Bart Ehrman, one of the foremost atheists about this. Even he recognizes that there are 15 references about the death of Christ outside of Scripture. Now, what's interesting in that is if there are third-party references about the death of Christ, then therefore there is a third-party reference about the life of Christ, because anything that died had to have lived.
Sure.
And so it necessarily means that Plato forecasts, he prophesies about Christ. Why did he do that? Because the Greeks were never able to get their philosophy and their religion together. They never understood they were the same thing. It was veiled. It was veiled. I mean, there are 100 cases like this. I mean, you've got the Pharaoh Akhenaten 2,000 years before Christ. He writes a hymn. That hymn shows up in Psalms 104, almost verbatim. What does he do? This Pharaoh, he takes a plural society with all these gods, similar gods to what you have in the Roman society, and he says, nope, there's one God. I think it was the son of the sun god Re, which was Atum, and he writes a hymn to the sun deity, and the hymn to the sun deity ends up almost verbatim in Psalms chapter 104. It's striking to see what happens, and it's inevitably backward facing, because they had no concept of a monotheistic culture. And what did he do by claiming his monotheism? He assassinated all the false gods.
Wow. So even 2,000 years into the past, before Yahusha was crucified, before even any type of acknowledgement of the one and true God, Yahuwah, this God, the Egyptian God, claimed to have one God. So what's the parallel here, Danny?
So I pulled up Psalms 104. So he talks about, he mentioned here that this guy, this Pharaoh, talked about the sun god, Psalms 104 verse 2. He wraps himself in the light as if it were a robe.
What does that mean? Break it down.
Spreading out the skies like a canopy, laying the beams of his palace on the waters above. No, it's interesting, right? So like he's talking about like that this Pharaoh wrote a hymn to the sun god, yet the first 3 verses of this psalm, right? My soul bless the Lord, my God. You are great. You are clothed with majesty and splendor. He wraps himself in the light as if it were a robe. Already, right? Like if this guy was writing a hymn to the sun god, and Solomon, right, who wrote this specific psalm, has the same wording, it's quantum entanglement, bro. It's quantum entanglement. Like you read this out, right? He's talking about how majestic God is, but like look at the light references, right? He has 1 light reference to laying the beams of his palace on the waters above, like light beams.
So who do you
clouds,
think
chariots.
was entangled with who? Do you think it was Pharaoh that was entangled with Solomon, or Solomon, or were they both entangled at the same time during prayer? Because I would assume that something like this would happen under either a deep meditative state, where they're both at the same time in those timelines, right? You know, because Solomon, I don't know how far apart he is from this Pharaoh.
So Solomon comes substantially after Pharaoh, right?
Okay. So these are thousands of years, right?
At least a couple hundred years. At least a couple hundred years. So you have to think about, right? There was the Exodus, which happened, and I think I don't know the exact year, but it was about 400 years before the nation of Israel became the nation of Israel, right? Where they entered into the promised land. And I don't want to give exact dates, but you have to think about this Pharaoh was 2,000 years before Christ, right? So let's say if it was 2,000 years before Christ, that means that King Solomon and King David and all these guys of the nation of Israel were sometime after that. I don't know how much time after that. Maybe, you know, the hymn was passed down orally. That could be another thing, right? As in like maybe this Pharaoh was of Jewish descent and he didn't admit it. Who knows, right? But I don't know. But the fact that this happens, I think it's like it's not by accident. I don't know if it's something that we can sit here and say it's 100% quantum entanglement, but I do know that it has echoes of the creator, right? And I think even in all these myths, right? All these myths, let it be the Egyptian myths or the Greek mythology myths or the Chinese creation myths, they all go back to one original guy, right? They all go back to the flood. They all go back to these things. And it's like, you think about it, it's like, okay, so Christians are saying it's this. Judaism is saying it's this. The Arab nations and the Muslims are saying it's this. You know, whether you would like, we agree with it or not, we're all worshiping to an extent, right? The same God. The Abrahamic religions all worship the same God. Now, the doctrine and the details, what's right, it's to be decided in heaven. I do believe that. But like the splits, like a lot of these things, like they're both historical and spiritual. And it's like the atheists and people, and I want to say people in power, they want to separate that to divide us. But like, I talked to a Jewish guy and we start talking Old Testament, and he was like, yeah, well, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. We have different interpretations, but it's like we're having the same historical conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So why are we arguing about this? Like, it's funny. Like I've never read this personally, but like apparently there's a verse in the Quran where it says, if you want to know the truth, go read the Bible. How true is that? I don't know.
Even in like Freemasonry, right? You know, in Freemasonry, they practice a lot of the occult stuff and a lot of these rituals, but a lot of the stuff they get it from the Bible. But now, are they using it with the intention of what the Bible is showing and educating us with? No, they obviously they, a lot of them take it and pervert it, right? They'll pervert whatever message is in there for their own gain or whatever. But that just shows you that, that book, the Bible, is actually a very strong foundation for a lot of different faiths, not just the Abrahamic ones, right?
Oh, dude, it's great. It's great. But like he talks, I want to get to that point where he talks about the triune God and like the perfection and why it works, and it's great. Like, try to skip forward a little bit. He goes into it.
Reconciling this is that because God is outside of time, that then he can sparse himself, pop out in different cultures, different aspects all throughout time, even before the event is happening.
Yeah. And it's happening not only in history, but it happens in literature. It happens in music. He pops up everywhere. Let me give you this idea from music, since we're both musicians. You look at traditional Western music, right? You generally have 3 chords. Sometimes you have some other chords, but if it's a 3-chord system, you generally have a 1, 4, and 5, right? Those are the 3 primary chords. And if you're going to make a song you want children to rejoice about, children that are just as innocent, that respond naturally to music that they enjoy, you'd have it in a major key. So you have 3 chords, and obviously every chord is generally 3 notes, right? And a 3-note chord is generally built out of a major third and a minor third. Major third, minor third, yeah. And so it's 3 notes, 3 chords made out of thirds. 3, 3, 3. You have a trinity of trinities that drives the joy of all children globally.
Yeah.
Now, what would happen as a musician if you inverted any of that? If you took the minor third plus the major third and you inverted those, you'd have a minor keyed song that would make children weep. There is truth built into every aspect of our.
As above, so below, right? That's kind of like the same situation. You can use that frequency to bring joy, or that same frequency in the inverse to bring misery and pain. So it's very interesting that even in musical notes, and we talk about it here, that Nikola Tesla was on point when he talks about, if you want to understand the universe, think of terms of frequency and vibration. And that's what music is. Music is frequency and it's a vibration.
100%. But it's again, echoes of the creator, right? Like the triune God, right? The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, the God in 3 parts, the creator, the word, and the flesh, right? He's just stamping, he's branding himself in every aspect of creation, including music, including literature, including things. Again, how do we explain that other than the canon event? Because it's the one time in history, right? Actually, technically twice, but like the one time in history where it's definitely where the Holy Spirit, the Son, and the Father are in the same place and they're working in unison. And that moment ripples throughout time.
It really does. It really does. Let's finish this video out, and then we're going to jump into the Donald Trump part of it on another podcast that covers that, and we'll see how we can tie these in together.
And then we got some creepy ones at the end.
Society, and it reflects God. The very existence of music, which is a trinity of trinities, is something that it combats this misperception that the 3-in-1 God is illogical. It just defeats it overwhelmingly through the simplicity of children.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think music to me has always been a way to prove that there is a God. Like the fact that like there's these 12 notes and there's the scale and these chords that all come together, and they could speak even without words, that it could speak to you, speak to your soul, speak to your emotions, has always been like, man, there's clearly something here that's otherworldly, right?
Yes.
And it's hard to articulate it, but I think it just proves that, man. That's
frequency and vibration, man. Your soul has a frequency, your soul has a vibration, and if your soul will connect to that music and to that, your soul will feel it. There's certain songs that do that. You know,
you ever got the chicken skins on your arm? The little,
absolutely.
Cali feel, like we say, bro.
Absolutely,
like it's crazy. Anyway, go. Let's move on, because this video gets deep. It gets deep. You gotta watch this, guys. if you don't follow Ruslan, man, this guy has some really good conversations with some really good creators, and he's been like diving deep into a lot of this like historical evidence for Jesus and stuff, and this is insane. But
so now that we know that God likes to leave imprints of himself across timelines, synchronizing prophets thousands and even hundreds of years ago, you know, putting the same words. How does this connect with Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump a coincidence of God's miracles, or is he a time traveler,
or a perversion?
Or a perversion, right? What do we have here? So we have Sunday Cool Podcast on here. They kind of break down in this 10-minute video, and we're gonna talk a little bit about it. Ninja Arbata Flies podcast. Shout out to them really quick here. So let's take a look.
Yeah, like this is so silly. Have you heard of the theory that the Trumps are time travelers?
What? No. Yeah. You're not sophisticated enough.
Listen to this.
They're time travelers?
Yeah.
Which one specifically? Donnie?
It's hard to say.
Donnie.
No, it would be Barron.
Who's Barron?
Trump's son.
Yes, Barron, bro. So check this out. There's another video.
Wait. We got to stop here. We got to talk about the way these guys look. First of all, this is what I think of when I think about conspiracy theorists. Guys with long hair, tattoos. They definitely look like they do.
Oh, you're talking about like this guy that's right here? You're talking about that guy?
And then the other guy too. And then the other guy too. This guy. Shout out to these guys, because it's like this is my spirit conspiracy animal right here. You know what I'm saying? Like
before we keep breaking this down, I want you to see this video here, because this video kind of sums up what we're about to jump into. Carajo, stop moving around.
Jeez, this is hilarious.
All right, so here we go.
Baron Trump, Time Traveler. In 1889, a book was released, Travels and Adventures of Baron Trump, where Baron Trump was living in Castle Trump and went to search for a time machine, guided by a character called the Dawn. Yup, they are time travelers. Same year, artist Charles de la Show released paintings of mysterious aircrafts resembling the Hindu Vimanas with the name Trump on it. They were time travel crafts that Trump's family received from Nikola Tesla, who claimed to have figured out time travel.
Okay, all right. So remember, we have the John Trump, his uncle connection that used to work with Tesla and Jack Parsons, right? So let's go back to this video at the podcast.
Or Donald Trump himself. Listen.
Grab me a DeLorean.
Okay.
Grab me a DeLorean.
So, this connect.
Danny, I need you to get me the flux capacitor, the best flux capacitor you could find on the market.
Listen,
and I don't want any of that shiny.
I need you to listen, it needs to be gold. It needs to be gold. It needs to be gold. It needs to say Trump on the side. It needs to be branded. It's gonna be the best time traveling machine of all
Trump
time.
DeLorean.
The Trump DeLorean. Listen,
the Trump DeLorean.
And my son is gonna be the one. He's gonna be the one. We're gonna make it a children's book out of it. It's gonna be phenomenal. It's gonna be great.
He's gonna be the greatest. The greatest story children's book of all time.
And you think Kamala Harris can travel through time? I don't think so. Okay.
Next to guess who? Nikola Tesla.
No way. This is
and when I first saw it, I'm like, what? I'm like, that's made up. Dude, yeah. I found like 5 different sources.
No,
listen. I'm not talking about the time travel thing. I'm talking about the beginning of the conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nikola Tesla died in the New York hotel or something, right?
It's so dismissive right away. She was like, it's Trump. I hate him. Oh my God. It's like, bro, okay, we get it. You're a feminist. Move on.
She got triggered. She got triggered.
And within his hotel that he was living in, somebody said that he had 80 plus trunks of all his patents, his designs for different technologies, all this stuff.
And the government took it, right?
Yes, but
so you're familiar with all that stuff with Tesla, right?
Oh no, yeah, like Nikola Tesla and the whole General Electric conspiracy.
Yeah,
I'm
for
very
sure.
well versed. Yeah,
the whole Rockefeller situation surrounding it, all that technology. I mean, the guy was going to create free electricity for the entire country.
Yeah, but also his version of free electricity, we get a lot of people killed. Let's be honest with that too. Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Dude, he invented Wi-Fi in the worst way possible.
He's like, oh, let me get a free signal.
Exactly. Like,
So-
okay.
Caught on fire.
Huh?
Did his house catch on fire?
No.
Oh,
I was dismissive. She's like, did your house catch on fire? That was so.
I'm telling you,
dismissive.
like, I don't get me wrong. I understand you need to have other opinions on a podcast to help move the conversation along. But if you're gonna if you're gonna be that way, and it always happens to be our third wave feminist women that as soon as you even mention,
Well, we don't know.
T,
First of all, we don't know she's a
I
feminist.
smell her from a mile away. She's a third
Okay,
waver.
That's you, but we don't know for certain that she is a feminist. Okay, but
She's
shout
a
out to
third
all
waver.
feminists. Shout out to the feminists. We love you. We love you.
Except the
I
third
guess I
wavers.
don't know.
So the
Volcano.
National Defense Research Facility and the FBI were going to go in and take it. Guess who they sent first to go and collect the stuff?
Donald Trump.
No. The president of the United States. I don't know.
John G. Trump.
Dun, dun, dun. So John G. Trump was the one that was sent to collect all of Nikola Tesla's technology. So what does that even mean? Let's find out.
Can we even believe this? I mean, look at him.
I mean, I don't know. He probably gets way more views than Fox News. I'm just saying. He probably does.
Donald Trump's uncle.
What?
Weird.
Donald Trump's uncle.
What was his title? What was he doing?
He was a highly respected electrical engineer and physicist.
Oh.
Okay, so he fits, I guess, a little bit in the realm of Tesla.
They sent him to collect the stuff.
Yeah.
And he got there and he came back and he said, oh, you guys said there's 80 trucks. I only found 30. And nothing was really of any value. So the theory is that he took.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There was
Would be
nothing
very
of any
Trump-like.
value.
Listen. I only found 30. The rest of the stuff is in my house.
You told me there was
Don't
80
worry
trucks.
about it. We're
And I
gonna
only
release it
found
when
30.
when my nephew becomes president. We're gonna release all this information via podcast. Don't worry about it. It's okay. We're gonna keep this PG. Don't worry. It's perfect.
some of these trunks.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Slipped it in his pocket.
And did some stuff.
Saved it for a rainy day.
Said, I'm gonna just. But there's one piece the FBI reported.
So the guy has an Illuminati tattoo on his
I know.
on his
That's why I
hand.
don't believe him. That's why I don't believe him, bro.
He's
why I
an
don't
industry
believe him.
plant. He's an Illuminati industry plant.
I'm trying to.
Because they
tell
just disclosed this stuff about Nikola Tesla in his documents not that long ago. And one of the documents said, where did it say? The FBI noted saying wireless transmission, electrical power had been completed and perfected. And so they had in their hands the ability to create wireless transmission electricity,
Yeah.
but we've never done anything with it.
Mhm.
But that was collected. But there's that whole, like, Tesla had been working on this stuff of, like, he said that he had figured out how to bend time.
Yeah.
And so
As one does.
the theory is Donald Trump's uncle took this, created a time machine,
Oh my gosh.
and traveled back in time and, like, did all this stuff. But then
So John G. Trump, we know he was an electrical engineer, and we know that he was a physicist. The theory is that he took all of Tesla's equipment and technology and built it. If he did find the calculation to bend time to his will, did he have enough tools and technology to actually build that time machine all those years ago for that time? I mean, we're talking about what, 1910s, 1920s? So that's inconceivable to me, bro. That's
Here's
just
the problem.
totally
Here's
inconceivable.
the only problem with some of these theories, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying they're improvable. Right?
What do you mean by improvable?
Like we can't
Like
prove
improve
this.
your theory? Like bring me more evidence?
Bro, it's like the whole can't prove. Yeah, like I can't prove that John G. Trump, maybe he was assigned to this and it just seems real sus, right? Like it's fine that it seems sus. I'm not saying it doesn't seem sus. I'm just saying like, but like okay, if I've learned anything about the Trumps and at least Donald Trump and the family that is currently active in politics today, they love to show off, right? Like they love to show off, whether you like him or not, whether you disagree with their politics or not, they love to show off. And I don't know if John G. Trump is cut of the same cloth, but right, if I'm going off the fruit, right? Like I'm going off the fruit of the tree that is the Trump tree. Like they like to show off, they like to be very, very vocal and bombastic. If I was John G. Trump, like, yo, listen, I invented Listen, I invented time.
I invented the greatest time machine everybody has ever invented.
So I'm not saying it's not real. What I'm saying is like it doesn't have the Trump signature. Does that make sense?
And the weird connection is there was a book that came out
here we go.
in 1896, and it's called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey.
What?
Written in 1896.
1896. That's okay. So someone else named Baron Trump, or you're saying
do you know
it
what
was actually?
So is Baron Trump the result of quantum entanglement?
Pull up a picture of Baron Trump, sir. Pull up a picture of Baron Trump. Let's look at this kid. Let's see if he looks like an alien. Maybe we're wrong. I think.
Or maybe he might be like a Nephilim.
Oh, we're just starting rumors now, man. We're just starting rumors now.
We starting shit.
Look at this kid. Look at this.
Like he looks like his dad, bro. He's taller than his dad, bro. That kid's got to be a Nephilim, bro, or Nephilim descended or something.
I mean, but look at his mom. His mom is tall too.
Yeah, but his dad is like what, like 6'4"? So this guy's got to be like 6'8".
Yeah. He's not. Well, 6'8" isn't Nephilim, bro. He's on the tall end, but he's not.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but
he looks like Damien.
Like from The Omen?
Yeah, look at him. He reminds me of Damien.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
Do you know what the book was about?
What? Time travel?
Baron Trump time traveling.
No! How disappointing would this be if that?
Wait. So the theory is that Baron Trump, Donald Trump's son, is a time traveler, and it's not Donald Trump.
It could be Donald Trump. This is where it's really
chaos at this point.
It's just connections of names and stuff that was stolen, and like the fact
So we don't know for sure. So that's the theory, right? We don't know for sure if he is or they are. It's just connections of names. So could it be one big coincidence?
Fantastic.
It could be one big ass coincidence.
The
but
internet is fantastic.
The internet is fantastic. That's why the internet is still undefeated. Bro,
dude, I don't know.
So AI has been getting wild, bro. AI has been wild. I use AI every day, by the way. I use AI
I'm taking a couple of courses for AI. I'm taking,
AI is an amazing tool. It definitely cuts a lot of production time and production stuff in half, and it's a lot. But there's a lot of people that think that there's like this ulterior motive behind AI, and that AI might be actually demons. And there's a few videos that have been coming out, even like two AIs having conversations among each other, bro. Like it's getting to the point where I think like Skynet is really alive, bro.
It's been alive,
dude. It's kind of crazy, but there's a couple videos that you sent me, and I think this is one a demon created by AI. Like, what is AI doing, bro?
Here's my thing with AI and what I think. I want to be very careful how I say this. I don't know this for sure, but my gut, my thing, I think that the beast of Revelation, I think it can't be human. It can't be. It might I think we've created the perfect vessel for the Antichrist in AI. I think that we've created all these things that the tool itself right now is useful, but like sentient AI, general artificial intelligence, I think is the perfect vessel for these spirits and principalities to take and truly bring on the next phase of.
I think
so. That's my thing. I think like when we talk about a lot of these things, it's I think we're bringing it on ourselves, and I think it's human.
100%. We're definitely bringing it on ourselves. But I also think that AI, in my opinion, might be a form of like demonic forces or demonic energy doing the bidding of the beast. I mean, and again, that might be far-fetched, right? But
no, it's not far-fetched.
If you think about it, after the flood, when Yahuwah flooded the earth to eradicate the Nephilim, because the Nephilim was, causing havoc on earth, there's a belief that the spirit of the Nephilim still dwell within the earth, and those are what we call demons today, right? So who is not to say that those demons have been in the computer system or have been integrated, right?
No, they have been.
There's a reason why, like when you email and you get it back, it says mailer daemon, right? Demon, right? There's etymology behind it. So there's a reason why.
What I'm saying. It's the etymology has been all over tech, right? Daemons. I think there's crawlers. There's it's like weird terminology that you start finding into, and then there's been reports of like these big, when the tech guys go into these these comms, these conventions, that like the high-end guys are doing these massive amounts of psychedelics and coming out, speaking to the daemons, right? Let's say that, and coming out with more instruction on how to make AI, and they're speaking to the little to the, and
so what
Joe Rogan talks about it.
The question here is then these CEO billionaires that do these things, like at Burning Man when they're doing those rituals, right? And they take like the psychedelic ayahuascas and the psilocybins and things like that. So then the question here is, what interdimensional entity are they contacting, or are they being or are they being influenced by to create this technology, right? And if you really think about it too, you can even make that connection all the way back to Aleister Crowley, the most wicked man to ever live, right? A lot of the stuff that he invoked, whatever that demonic entity was called ayahuasca or lamb or something like that. And he was instructed to write and to do certain things. So who's not to say that these entities, while these CEO billionaires are on these trips, who is not to say that those same entities that contacted Aleister Crowley are actually influencing these current batch of billionaires to create this new AI? You know what I'm saying?
And it looks to me, from everything that I'm doing, every little bit of research that I've been doing into like AI, not only like the tools to use, but like what's happening and like the weird events that's happening. As far back as like, I think it was 2016 when the first like AI went online and the computer started talking to each other, and then I don't know if you remember this report where the guys at Google turned on AI the first time and they started talking to each other, and it got so out of control that they were talking in their own language, and they just had to shut it off because it got out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like as far back as 2016. And you start thinking about it, bro, the sex robot industry and how they're implementing AI and using, the one sin that man cannot escape, that the Lord says and the word says and all these things, and across religion says, hey, this one is too powerful for you to fight. You literally need to flee. And it's funny how AI is being used to capture you in this thing, right? It's like,
Mhm.
so OnlyFans isn't enough. Corn isn't enough, right? So now we're gonna create this artificial thing so you don't feel guilty. We're gonna make it into AI girlfriends, AI
And then
sex
like here,
bots,
and then you
AI
also
things.
kind of
And
have
it's
to
crazy,
think
like
about,
it's demonic.
and you also have to kind of think about what are the repercussions on a macro level when AI and, like you said, like these sex AI robots, start taking over. That there's this influx of these people that are called incels that can't, that involuntarily celibate, right?
They fall
That
in love.
they fall in love with these things. There's predictive programming to prove this, right? With that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, who falls in love with an AI,
Not just
right?
her. Not just
So
her.
so
Ex Machina. Have you seen
what
Ex Machina?
Ex Machina, that's also a very good example. So there's already predictive programming to kind of put this point out there. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm looking at this as like what they're trying to do is drive down human population. They're really
No.
trying to, their fertility levels are at their lowest they've ever been in 50 years. People are not having sex. People are not producing babies.
Well, that's a straw man argument, because it's only like that in the West, right? In developing countries, they're having more babies now than ever.
Yeah, but we don't live in the other countries. We have to think about in the country that we're
No,
living
but
here right now.
the overall population of the Earth is still on the rise. Like, so it's, you can't. That's a straw man argument. It's bad in the developed countries like the U.S. and Europe. Okay, it's bad. Like their fertility is down here because of bad food, incels, and all this thousands other crap. But when you think about Africa, the birth rates are through the roof. You think about India, birth rates are through the roof. South America, birth rates through the roof. Okay, China now, they've implemented policies to get their birth rates from -1 to like +3 in the last 10 years. So that argument has been debunked, and I think that's a bad argument. I
don't think it is a bad argument, man, because you have to think about it. Who's the super right now, as we sit? Who is the superpower of the world?
China.
Right now, no. Right now, as we speak, they haven't taken over as superpower. They don't have world reserve currency. World reserve currency still sits with the United States. The United States still is the most powerful country in the world. So when the birth rate is down in the United States, that has a macro effect globally, bro.
Oh, no, I'm not denying that.
So there is something behind that. So you can't just say that it's just a straw man argument for saying there's a straw man argument when there is an argument to be said about it, especially if the United States is the leader around the world. You're going to want to have babies for the next generation, but we're not producing them because of these things that are happening.
I think the millennial generation is not producing them, but the numbers are still showing, at least in the polls and in, overall trends, that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are way more conservative and way more willing to have kids at an earlier age than our generation, the millennials. Like, they just are. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe the woke part of the internet just went too far, but like, there's a legit Jesus revolution happening right now. The modern Jesus revolution.
Well, great. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I hope that the birth rates go up in the next 20 and 30 years. That'd be fantastic. But we're talking about right now in the present.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, we're talking about the present. And if there's an opportunity for AI to take over, it's now. Right? Because I think that they know. I think even the powers that be know that window is closing quick, right? Like, as hard as they work to open up that window, that Overton window is closing quick, and it's moving back the other way. And I think it's not just culturally. I think the spiritual battle that is behind all this AI crap, because I think it is spiritual. I really do. I think that this battle with AI is more spiritual than it is physical. I think we have the power to turn it off physically, but I think it's the spiritual battle. I think it's the fact that they're using it to perpetuate algorithms, the fact that they're using it to perpetuate, sin habits and all these things is the spiritual battle. And I think when the deeper you get into this truther conspiracy theory stuff, you start finding out it's like, oh, the elites and the people in power it's literally, it's all straw man and it's all spiritual. Like you start looking at it and it's like, it's bad. Like it's bad, but it's like, dude, like I'm
Well,
looking at it.
it goes
I'm
back
looking-
to, if you remember our interview with John Moyer, we were
Yeah.
talking about hypnosis on a mass level, right? We talked about how the phones, right? The phones, the black mirror that we have here. This is our, hypnotic machine, right? This is what we get our dopamine hits from. And when you add AI now, the features of AI, but you have to keep in mind too, bro, like this AI, this version of AI is 10, 15 years old. We didn't have the processing power 15, 20 years ago to have that AI, but now we do. So this, and this AI has been in works for many, many years. There's other versions of AI that aren't available right now because there's no processing power that, DARPA has in development. That's a fact. That is a fact.
It is.
A lot of the technology, cell phone, internet, that organization, they have that technology many, many, many years ahead of time before it's released to the general public. So who's not to say that the next version of AI is not going to be indistinguishable from a human?
I don't know, man.
And that's the scary part, right? Because as these algorithms continue to learn from our input, then when you're trying to have a conversation with like a chat bot or something like that for customer service, then it gets to a point where you just don't recognize who is what.
I think ChatGPT 4, which is, I think it's the best example of what AI is about to do in the future. The way they're writing essays, jokes, it still seems rudimentary, but it seems good enough to pass. It's like it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's good enough. And I think the next version is primed, in my opinion, to overthrow governments, to restructure culture. Like, dude, like it's crazy, right? Like doing research, dude, into this, right? And some of the videos that I sent you, the ads behind like AI girlfriends and like all this crazy crap that I've gotten just off of doing the research for this, right? Like looking at it, like it's like I'm looking about
It messes up your algorithm.
Dude, it messed up my algorithm. And it's like you want an AI girlfriend, and like it's like the creepiest video of like an anime girl with the biggest boobs you've ever seen, and you're like, I'm not into that. Like I've never been into hentai, but it's like why are you thinking that I'm into this when I'm trying I'm trying to learn why this is happening. And then all of a sudden, like the algorithm goes, "Oh, we're gonna distract you with sex," and I'm just like,
"It's like here's some titties in your face. Here, some."
No, but it's real. It's real, right? Like I ran into that demon video that you're about to play, and then I went down the rabbit hole of like, okay, the sex robot industry, and all of this, and it's like all tied together. To me, it's all the same. It's all the same literal like. It just goes down the way. Like this is the creepy one, but then it gets weird. Go for it. I love the aesthetic.
As we become increasingly dependent on technology, we're starting to see artificial intelligence.
By the way, shout out to the channel here. We have Jake Weber's channel. So shout out to Jake Weber. Appreciate you. Thank you, man.
I love
slowly
the aesthetic on this
take
guy.
over the world. You could summon an image of anything you desire. A gorilla sitting in a hot tub, a duck wearing a party hat, a smiling strawberry. But these images aren't real. As advanced as it can be, it's created by a cold.
I love how dramatic he is, bro. It's
I love the
like it's
aesthetic.
so dramatic.
He's like,
calculated
Mom,
machine.
Nemo is not
And
a
no
phase.
matter how
It's a
advanced,
live
there's
story.
no emotion or human connection. The art tries to give you exactly what you please, but not always. And sometimes you might summon something rather disturbing. Twitter user Supercomposite was experimenting with a technique called negative prompt waits when they stumbled upon a horror that would haunt them forever. It all started with a simple prompt, Brando negative, requesting the opposite image of Marlon Brando. What appeared on the screen was a skyline logo with cryptic lettering.
That's weird. So the user prompted the AI to take the
go back,
picture of Marlon Brando and make it into a negative, but that's what came up. That's weird.
Of curiosity, they decided to generate the opposite of this image. Forever. It all started with a simple prompt, Brando negative, requesting the opposite image.
So they wanted that image, but negative. Right? Marlon Brando.
Of Marlon Brando.
Pause.
So that's what it pulled up.
Digita Picnics.
Pintix? I don't know what that means.
Pintix. Okay.
What appeared on the screen was a skyline logo with cryptic lettering. Out of curiosity, they decided to generate the opposite of this image using the lettering and skyline. Digita Pintix, skyline logo, negative. Guessing that this would generate them back to Marlon Brando, what spawned next would terrify them.
What?
¿Qué en el carajo?
What in the fuck is that, bro? What the hell is that?
It is
Yo, that is some demonic shit, bro.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm
What
not
in the
surprised.
world?
I'm not surprised, bro. Like, these are the demons. These are the commands. These are the things that you tell
Turn your
computer
ID.
to do. And then
Unbelievable. That
that's true.
That is scary, bro. I'm definitely not gonna sleep tonight. That is
I'm glad we're doing it in the daylight, though.
What is
An
this
off-putting
thing over here?
image of an older woman with dark, sunken eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can't even tell, but those are definitely
it's
demonic
soulless.
eyes, bro.
It's soulless. It's soulless. It has
Yep.
nothing.
And red cheeks appeared on the screen, her face soaked with tears, as if she's been crying for eternity. They named this image Loeb. She was almost self-named. One of the generated images of her appeared right next to the word Loeb, looking almost as if she's introducing herself, greeting you for the first time with flowers. Loeb always spawned in the same eerie location, a dark room with greenish-brownish walls. When I first saw her, I thought it was Ozzy Osbourne.
I can kind of see that. Yeah, I can kind of see how it looks like Ozzy Osbourne. Maybe
So is
maybe Ozzy
a
Osbourne.
demon?
Yeah.
No offense to Ozzy. They decided to keep typing in Loeb to see what would come up next, and the results of her became
What?
increasingly
Dude, did you see that?
violent
What the?
and gory. She was being created easier than most celebrities, haunting every image cursed by her face. Loeb was eventually spawned by images of her surrounded by dismembered, screaming children. Some images were so disturbing that Super
What?
Composite decided to not show them. Loeb was
What?
somehow linked to extremely unsettling and gruesome
Yo,
imagery.
pause that. What?
Yeah.
Is this what we're doing? Is this what we're creating?
I don't know.
The
What, dude?
Fuck. I'm sorry,
Dude.
guys. Yo, that triggered me. I'm sorry.
That is
What?
wild, bro. Keeps getting better here. We're only not even 3 minutes in.
In the AI's knowledge base. Even when they tried to distort what they typed in an attempt to remove Loeb from the image, she continued to appear. It's almost as if she has a presence in a parallel universe, lurking. With each stroke of the keyboard, you bring her closer to reality, unsure of what
Loeb. That's the name of the character, right? I mean, Loeb. If you sell it backwards, it's Ball. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm stretching.
Hold
Let's
on,
see.
hold on. No, Loeb. No,
Loeb.
no, but I spelled differently.
Yeah, it's spelled with 2 A's.
terror she's going to bring. The more you mention Loeb, the more you feed it to the AI, and the more powerful Loeb becomes.
Okay.
Do you believe that AI can create real evil? Is it possible that this entity
I do. I don't know about y'all. Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, no.
Let us know in the comments.
No, this okay. Here's what we're gonna do, and I'm telling you this right now. We're gonna unfortunately feed the algorithm because I want to see what people think, and we're gonna make this reaction video to this. We're gonna make it its own thing, and I want y'all to share it because the only way to stop this image is not only to feed it into the algorithm, but to talk about it and rebuke it in Jesus' name. Because, and the more we rebuke this, the more we call it out into the light and we say, you shall not have power over us, is the only way to do it. And I believe that.
I do too.
It could be a real life monster. Many people believe in the existence of ghosts and demons. So those that do, this question is worth considering. The human brain is really good at determining if something is human. And when we feel that something isn't quite human, we know, causing us to feel extremely uncomfortable. This is known as the uncanny valley. Artificial intelligence tries, but could never perfect what an authentic human looks like.
That's creepy.
A woman made the face of an affectionate mother, then made the face as a greeting stranger. These two faces were morphed together, and although the result doesn't look too different, it gives off a feeling of unease. Studies have shown when something lacks human characteristics.
I wonder if that has anything to do also with the remember a few months ago where everybody started having demonic face syndrome, like they were seeing like I wonder if this has anything to do with that. I wonder if those people are possessed by the AI.
I think part of it too is all the Zoom meetings, bro. Like literally, we don't really see each other in face anymore.
Could be, yeah.
No, like we don't see each other in person anymore. Like we don't go to the office anymore. I work from home. You work from home. We don't go to the office anymore, right? Even now, we live states away, and most of our interactions, where if I lived in Florida or you lived in Texas, we'd probably be doing this together in the studio. But we're doing this via StreamYard / Zoom or whatever the heck we're doing, and it just becomes this. We're not really seeing each other in the physical. We're seeing digital images, digital recreations of each other's faces, right? So there is distortion, right? Like, you ever notice, like when you're having, even with FaceTime, when you like, it distorts because it's catching, the signal's catching up and the faces distort. That could be it. I don't want to read too much into it, but like definitely the computer doesn't know what it's doing. So keep going.
Oh no, for sure.
We don't feel threatened by it. However, when that thing is slowly turned into something more like us, we start to feel scared during the process. Our instinct to define what is human becomes confused, and we feel fear. Isn't it interesting that even when something appears undeniably human, we can still detect if it's not? Take this website, for example, thispersondoesnotexist.com.
That's a real website?
Okay.
Have you checked that out? Well, let's find out. Let's see what
I'm not going to.
It generates fake people that look close to reality, but something feels very wrong. The human brain is fascinating at catching this. I just wish mine was better at making friends. Some say that AI cannot generate a soul or conscience. The result lacks morality and goodness that defines us as humans. Without these qualities, the result is a disturbing, soulless meat machine that can only mimic emotion. Its true nature is dark and thoughtless.
Maybe that's what evil is the lack of humanity, right?
Synthetic nightmares, where people create images such as the Mold Man, once non-existent. Legendary Tangerine spawned him into existence.
I don't know, man. It's definitely getting to a point where this AI is getting wild, where we're having, like, it's creating live demonic stuff in real time. So I don't know, man. It's getting weirder and weirder and weirder. But I'd love to know what y'all think. Let us know in the comments. Let us know on YouTube and on Spotify.
I'm usually pretty good about reacting to these things and just keeping an even keel. But that right there,
that triggered you. Wow, that triggered you.
The fact that it has a name.
Yeah,
it's just the most disturbing thing. It really does disturb me. The fact that it has a name, it bothers me. It bothers me to my core.
Well,
Did we create it? Did it like maybe my theories are late. Maybe it's already been possessed. Maybe it's already been AI's already been possessed.
Well, listen, we're covering all the negative stuff about AI, but there is one positive thing that AI did. We'll talk about how the AI is creating all these demonic things, but recently AI was able to prove without a shadow of the doubt about the resurrection of Yahusha through the Shroud of Turin, bro, which is amazing because it was all under pure speculation about how they weren't sure if the Shroud of Turin was a real thing because they had discovered it during medieval times. But with the new technology, they were able to find out that the shroud was indeed over 2,000 years old and that it did actually prove the resurrection during that time. And here's a short video that kind of glosses over it here on YouTube.
Everybody's talking about this. An AI image of Jesus created from the Shroud of Turin. The British media platform, the Daily Express, used Midjourney AI to create an image of Jesus Christ. They took details from the Shroud of Turin, an ancient cloth that some believe wrapped Jesus's body. The result? A man with long hair, a beard, and visible cuts and bruises from crucifixion. It's a striking resemblance to traditional portrayals of Jesus. Recent studies published in the Heritage Journal used X-ray dating to show the shroud is about 2,000 years old, right around Christ's time. But hold up. These studies do not confirm if the shroud actually belonged to Jesus. Still, social media is going wild, with users saying, the Shroud of Turin is real. Is this AI-generated face really Jesus? The debate continues. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. And hey, don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody.
So, that image right there, that's the AI-generated image, man. What do you think? Do you think that's an accurate depiction of what the shroud is showing? Because what the shroud is showing is in the negative. I don't think that's like an accurate depiction. I don't think Yahusha had straight hair like that. I think he had more curly hair.
I don't know, right? That's the cool thing about, the Bible. Like Jesus kind of fits the mold you put him in a way, at least ethnically, right? I'm sure that that's a very bad version of what Jesus might have looked like. But I will say this, at least facial features wise, he does look very Middle Eastern, right? Like, I don't know if the hair is correct.
For sure.
Right.
But is that our reticular activating system and our indoctrination of believing that he's a Middle Eastern man, giving in our brain giving us that confirmation, right?
Again, right? Then if we go back to the premise set in your first video before going into this, right? Like if it's just our brains trying to figure out what it is. My brain recognizes a Middle Eastern man with wavy hair. Maybe it's curly, maybe it's not. If it's laying down, bro, I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't need a picture of Jesus to believe that 1, he existed, 2, he died for my sins, and 3, he is an everlasting presence in my life. I don't need that. I don't need it. Personally, if they can prove that the guy, Jesus, Yeshua, Yahweh, the guy that the different translations of his name and all this, if we can prove that that piece of cloth was wrapped around him, it would justify all of Christianity and all the branches of Christianity, right? It would give us the one piece. It was like, but look, the guy existed. And even then, there's gonna be freaking atheists that go, so what? Right? Like it's not gonna change anything. There's people that believe and there's gonna be people that don't believe. So it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Like I'm like, it's cool. It's a cool thought argument. To me,
it's still a cool piece of news, right? And I've already read a lot of different articles of people already changing their faith based on that piece of news, which, I mean, for me, it's kind of like you. It's like, I don't need this in order to have more faith. My faith is already very strong, right? But there are some people that were like on the fence about it, but this piece of news came out and they're like, boom, I'm done. I'm going all in. And if that's what it took for them to believe, then good. Hey, good for them. Good. But that shouldn't be the only thing for you to have faith in, in order for you to be a believer. That shouldn't be the only thing. But if that's what brought you to the table, then hey, great.
What does Jesus say to Thomas after his resurrection in the book of Acts? He was like, oh, good for you that you have seen, but how great are those that will never see yet still believe.
Doesn't he tell that to little James too? When little James is like, oh, like, Lord, or why don't you heal me? He's like, oh, wouldn't it be great that a cripple heals other people? Right. So like,
so great.
Exactly.
To me, it's like, I don't need to see that to believe that Jesus is real. Like, I don't need that. Is it cool? Yeah. Like, put a face to the guy that I've been praying to for a long time. But it's like, at the same time, it's like, I don't need it. Like, I never needed it. So, I don't know.
Well, guys,
AI creeps me out. I'm done.
Well, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today on this weekend edition of Cultura Truth Project. We love you.
The weekend edition.
Yes. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials, on YouTube and on Rumble. Cultura Truth Project. Gonzalez Media TV on Facebook and on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. And also support the show by joining the Supporters Club on Spreaker, $3 a month. We got the link in the description. Make sure you join us over there. Audio you can't get anywhere, only on Spreaker on the Supporters Club. So we appreciate you guys. We love you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.